Welcome back to Unit 1, where we learn about the concepts, principles, and elements of ICM. In our previous module, we learned to define coastal areas, its value, and the causes of its degradation. We also tackled how integrated coastal management, or ICM, can address the complex management issues in the coastal areas. In this module, we will discuss sustainable development principles and why ICM is considered as a tool in achieving sustainable development. Sustainable development is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Over the years, scientists have been studying the consequences of unchecked development that has led to the depletion of resources and pollution of our environment. In the past, growth was seen as endless. Around the 1970s, the international community began to recognize that growth has its limits. But the big question was, who's going to take action? To guide us towards sustainable development, a number of global action plans and conventions have been introduced over the years. It all began to change in 1972 with the release of Limits to Growth by the Club of Rome. This marked the birth and concept of sustainable development. That same year, the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment endorsed this idea. From 1972 onwards, the global focus shifted, leading to milestones like Agenda 21 in 1992, the UN Millennium Development Goals in 2000, and the UN Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. Since then, we've entered the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development and the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, both running from 2021 and 2030. We also have key agreements like the Paris Agreement from 2015, the Glasgow Climate Pact from 2021, and the Post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework in 2022. In the context of coastal areas, sustainable development means enhancing the quality of life for coastal inhabitants while preserving the integrity of coastal ecosystems, which is a central concern of ICM. To achieve this, ICM focuses on understanding and managing the interactions between three subsystems. These subsystems are the natural ecosystem, human activities, and legal, institutional, and technical mechanisms. The natural system encompasses all relevant non-human domains, such as natural resources, which could exist without the presence of humans. Human activities represent the entire set of human interests in terms of the use of the natural resources. Lastly, legal, institutional, and technical mechanisms are those mechanisms that allow the use of the natural system, which may have an intentional or unintentional effect on the natural system, and directly or indirectly on other uses as well, resulting in stresses and use conflicts. ICM has evolved as a practical response to the complex challenges facing coastal environments. Through integrating planning and management efforts, ICM seeks to address resource conflicts, maintain ecosystem health, and facilitate multisectoral development. So what sets ICM apart from other coastal management frameworks? Well, it is grounded in three core principles. First, adaptive management. Second, integration and coordination. And last, ecosystem-based management. Adaptive management is based on the premise that information and knowledge about resource systems and how to manage them are largely uncertain and incomplete. The maxim of learning by doing and learning from experience sums up this fundamental ICM principle. It teaches how to adjust one's plan of action in response to prevailing situations, issues, and concerns. An example of this principle in action was when the ICM initiative in Bataan, Philippines faced a change in political leadership. The new government was not as supportive to the ICM program that was active and well supported before. This resulted in a one-year slowdown of activities. The project responded by allowing the new governor time to review the project approach and operations. Efforts were made to involve the new governor in study tours and regional meetings to showcase the benefits of ICM. Adjustments were also made to align the ICM program with the new governor's priorities. Eventually, the new governor became convinced of the benefits of ICM and emerged as a champion of the cause, playing a significant role in the regional network of local governments practicing ICM. The second principle is integration and coordination, which ensures that policies and management actions of relevant sectors within an ICM program are consistent with one another. There's a fundamental shift in how we approach ICM. Traditionally, local governments have addressed issues in an issue-based manner. But now, we're moving towards a holistic, long-term approach that requires integration and coordination across sectors. Local governments drive this change because they're directly connected to the community, allowing for better integration into local action plans. This approach is also vision-driven, meaning projects are guided by a clear goal and not just funding. With integration and coordination, we're not only improving the effectiveness of projects, but also making sure they are sustainable in the long term. The shift from donor-driven to government-driven and participatory processes strengthen commitments and leads to program-based, long-term planning that is embedded in local governance. There are three dimensions of integration that an ICM initiative should be concerned with. First is system integration, second is functional integration, and third is policy integration. First, system integration in coastal resource management involves understanding both time and space, which refers to temporal and spatial integration. Temporal integration means considering how different time cycles like bureaucratic processes, business activities, and ecological seasons affect coastal management. ICM efforts need to align with these cycles to avoid missing opportunities. Spatial integration involves recognizing the connections between land, coast, and ocean. Activities in one area can impact the others, so ICM must consider these interactions. Functional integration is concerned with internal consistency among the various ICM management actions. It focuses on making sure that different management actions in coastal resource management work well together. Agencies should collaborate to avoid duplicating efforts and instead support each other's work. A good example of functional integration is creating a coastal zoning plan. This plan sets out how natural resources can be used in different areas, specifies what activities are allowed, and defines the responsibilities of each agency involved. And the third dimension is policy integration, which ensures that national and local government policies and economic development plans are consistent with one another. It ensures that programs, projects, and activities complement each other and help rationalize and coordinate activities of public agencies. Policy and functional integration can be visualized as a T approach. The vertical leg of the T represents the different sectors, while the horizontal bar illustrates the connections across these sectors through a governance framework and a participatory platform that utilizes integrated planning and management processes. This contrasts with the I approach, where each sector operates independently without coordination or integration. These dimensions all function with coordination, which is the operational means to achieve efficiency and cost-effectiveness of various policy and management interventions towards a set goal. We now move on to the last core principle, which is the ecosystem-based approach. The ecosystem-based approach is focused on maintaining the integrity of the ecosystems, which provide goods and services essential for human well-being by managing the human interaction with the environment. Ecosystem-based management is an integrated, science-based approach to managing the natural resources that aims to sustain the health, resilience, and diversity of the ecosystems while allowing for sustainable human use of the goods and services they provide. We reach the end of Module 2. Here, we learn that sustainable development principles underpin decision-making and management in coastal areas, guiding legislation, policies, and projects. We learned how ICM operationalizes sustainable development by considering cross-sectoral impacts of multiple uses of the coastal areas versus single-sector management approach, and how the governance of the coastal and marine areas can be more effective with integrated governance. We also learned the three core ICM principles. First is adaptive management, which emphasizes the importance of adjusting strategies to suit changing conditions and uncertainties. Second is integration and coordination, which emphasizes the importance of consistent and complementing management actions. And lastly, ecosystem-based management, which emphasizes the importance of preserving the integrity of ecosystems. We trust that you've gained valuable insights from this module. We will see you again in our next one, where we will dig deeper into the framework for sustainable development of coastal areas through ICM implementation. But before that, here are some questions to ponder on.